Once upon a time my name was Grace, and I was 30 years old when everything began. People always said I had a quiet kind of beauty, the kind that didn't shout but spoke softly to the heart. That evening, I wore a flowing cream gown that hugged my 7-month pregnancy. I smiled with calm pride, feeling my child kick gently inside me. I believed I had finally found a man I could trust. His name was Daniel, and tomorrow we were supposed to marry. Before I continue, let me ask you, where are you watching from today? Kindly hit like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more. My home that night was loud with excitement, cousins running up and down the hallways, and aunties frying chicken in the backyard. Laughter poured from every corner, mixed with gospel music from the old radio. I sat quietly in my childhood room, rubbing my stomach in circles, while my veil hung on the door waiting for morning. The whole compound buzzed with joy, but my heart was calm. My cousin Sandra barged in without knocking, just like she always did, chewing gum loudly. "Grace, are you just going to sit here all night? Shouldn't you do something special for your groom?" she asked, flopping beside me on the bed. I looked at her and smiled faintly, asking, "Like what, Sandra?" She rolled her eyes. "You bought him that gold wristwatch. Take it to him at the hotel tonight, write a note, surprise him." I shook my head. "I'm tired. My legs hurt." But she pushed harder. Sandra leaned close, whispering with a sly grin, "Exactly why it'll mean even more. Do it for love. Knock on his door, hand him the gift yourself. He'll never forget it." I hesitated, staring at her. "You think it won't feel awkward, showing up unannounced?" Sandra shrugged. "Grace, tomorrow you'll be his wife. You're carrying his child. Who else should stand at his door tonight if not you?" I sighed, touched my stomach gently, then stood. "Fine," I said quietly. "I'll go, but I won't stay long." The hotel was quiet under the soft yellow glow of night lights when I arrived. My fingers clutched the paper bag with the wristwatch and handwritten note tucked inside. I walked slowly across the polished floor, one hand under my belly, the other holding my gift. At the front desk I smiled politely. "Good evening. I'm looking for Daniel. He checked in earlier today." The receptionist typed on her computer, then said calmly, "Yes, he's here, but he's not alone. He gave instructions not to be disturbed." I froze when the receptionist said, "He's not alone," but I kept my smile steady like nothing cracked inside me. I told myself it could be a planner or a cousin, yet my spirit whispered, "Go and see." In the elevator, my hands shook around the little gift bag. I watched my reflection and said, "Grace, breathe, don't assume." The doors opened to a cold, quiet hallway that smelled like new carpet. I walked toward his floor, each step heavy, hope fighting fear inside my chest. Outside room 816, I heard laughter first, then a woman's hush, then Daniel's voice, smooth like always. "Grace is too emotional. I'm only marrying because of the baby," he said, and my world tilted. My mouth went dry, but I tapped record on my phone and held it steady. The bed squeaked, the lies grew, and he bragged he'd control everything after vows. I didn't cry. I gathered proof like a shield. When I had enough, I walked away on silent feet. In the rideshare, the driver asked if I was okay, and I nodded with a smile that wasn't mine. I stopped at a pharmacy, bought water and a memory card, and copied the recording carefully. I emailed a backup to myself, then breathed slow until my hands calmed. I placed a palm on my belly and whispered, "I'll protect you, you're not a bargaining chip." Streetlights blurred past like ghosts of promises. "Daniel," I murmured, "you misjudged me, dawn will hear the truth." By 6:18 a.m., I stood up with a calm that felt like sharp glass. I called Uncle Emmanuel, my quiet backbone, and said, "Please pull your investment from Daniel's company. No questions yet." He paused, then answered, "Consider it done. Are you safe?" "Yes," I said. Next I rang my lawyer. "Cancel the license completely," I told her. "I'll pay whatever it costs." She said she'd contact the registry before they opened. I whispered, "Thank you," and decided my ring finger would stay free. By 9:10 a.m., the compound buzzed with music, ribbons, and aunties negotiating chairs like generals. Sandra slipped in with a plate of jollof, smiling too sweet, eyes refusing to meet mine. "Big day, Queen," she chirped, trying to sound casual. "Daniel is loyal, right?" I asked softly, watching her throat tighten. "Of course," she laughed, then changed the subject, fingers fidgeting with my bangles. I thanked her, locked the door after she left, faced the mirror and vowed, "Today I choose me." That afternoon Daniel called, his voice honey smooth. "Baby, I couldn't sleep just thinking of us," he said. I pressed the phone tight, listening to the same lips that mocked me hours ago. "I'm fine," I told him. "Pregnancy is tiring." He chuckled, promising to spoil me after vows, unaware the license was already cancelled. "We're perfect," I replied, steady as stone. After the call, I wrote names on a list, the very people I wanted to witness my freedom. When my father entered later with his Bible, he prayed, "May this marriage be filled with peace, love, and loyalty." I whispered amen, though inside my spirit begged, "Let the truth be louder than his lies." That night, I stared at the glowing recording on my phone, playing it again. I touched my stomach, whispering, "We will not be used." Outside, crickets sang as if mocking the silence of the house. By dawn, my gown hung ready, but I was already armed. Morning came bright, and the compound roared with drums, perfumes, and flashing cameras. Daniel stood outside in a wine-colored suit, polished like a prince. Guests clapped his back, saying, "You pulled a smart one, brother." He grinned, shaking hands, while Sandra shimmered in her gold bridesmaid dress, biting her lip when their eyes met. From my window, I watched them like actors in a play they didn't know was already ruined. I whispered to my child, "Not every bride walks into chains." In the bridal car, I held my bouquet tighter than any jewel. Hidden inside was the small Bluetooth connector linked to the church speakers. "Are you ready, my daughter?" my father asked softly. I turned to him, my face calm. "Yes, Daddy, I'm ready." The car doors opened and guests gasped, "Grace looks like a queen." The organ played as I walked in slowly, every step deliberate. Daniel smiled proudly, leaning to whisper to his best man, "She came after all." The pastor began warmly, speaking of unity, love, and loyalty. Daniel took the microphone, smiling with confidence. "Grace, from the first day I met you, I knew you were special," he declared. "You carry our child, you carry my heart, and I promise forever." The crowd clapped, wiping tears. Sandra grinned like she owned the moment. Then the pastor turned. "Me. Bride, your vows, please." I didn't move at first. Slowly, I lifted the mic, touched my bouquet, and pressed the button. The church speakers cracked, then Daniel's voice poured out loud and clear. "Grace is too emotional. I'm only marrying her because of the baby. Once the wedding is done, I'll control everything." Gasps swept across the hall. A woman screamed, "Jesus!" Someone shouted, "Turn it off." But I stepped forward calmly. "No," I said, "let it finish." The recording played the moans, the laughter, the wicked plans. Daniel's face turned white, Sandra's eyes darted, and my guests sat frozen in disbelief. When the audio ended, silence hung like smoke. I raised the microphone. "This is what happened last night while I prayed for this day," I said steadily. "That was room 816 at Royal Hotel. My groom, my cousin, and their truth." The crowd erupted. People rose, phones out, whispers flooding the room. Daniel reached for my hand, trembling. "Grace, let me explain." "Don't touch me," I snapped. Then I pointed at Sandra. "Meet the woman my groom spent the night with." Sandra's grin collapsed into horror. "No, Grace, please." But the murmurs drowned her voice. "Blood should protect, not betray," I said firmly. Women screamed, one fainted, and elders shook their heads in shame. My father closed his eyes, pain heavy on his shoulders. Daniel muttered, "It's not what you think," but the evidence had already broken him. With steady hands, I removed the ring from my finger and dropped it on the floor. "Today I will not marry a liar." I turned to the choir. "Sing not for a wedding but for freedom." Slowly, the choir rose, voices trembling at first, then strong. I walked down the aisle, veil lifted, dress trailing like a warrior's robe. Guests clapped slowly, then louder, some crying, others recording. I did not look back once. Outside, the sun touched my skin, and my baby kicked like he understood. A woman rushed close, whispering, "Are you okay, my daughter?" I answered calmly, "I will be." Inside, Daniel's mother confronted him. "Is it true? That was your voice." He stuttered, "Mom, I didn't mean," but she slapped his shoulder. "You disgraced us with a pregnant bride and her cousin." Sandra tried to sneak out, but women blocked her path. "Going somewhere," they hissed. "You betrayed blood, and now you want to walk away." She cried, "It was a mistake." They sneered, "A mistake that lasted all night." Meanwhile, I told my father, "I'm not finished yet." I returned to the altar, the crowd parting like waves. Daniel pleaded, "Grace, please don't walk away like this. We can fix it." I faced him with ice in my eyes. "Fix betrayal. Fix lies. I gave you everything and you mocked me." Turning to the crowd, I raised my voice. "This isn't just my story. It's every woman who carried a man's child while he carried another woman. Today I choose myself." Guests clapped, some shouting, "Amen," as I spoke. Sandra hid her face, tears streaming, but I wasn't finished. "You weren't just my cousin," I said sharply. "You were my friend, my sister. And you knew everything." Sandra shook, whispering, "I'm sorry," but her voice was drowned by angry murmurs. Pastor raised his Bible slowly. "Bride, this wedding cannot continue," he said softly. He nodded. "It is my right." Holding my belly, I looked directly at the cameras and declared, "I walk out alone, but I walk out whole." The church thundered with claps as I stepped outside. Women hugged me, saying, "You're strong." Reporters rushed forward. "Grace, will you still marry Daniel?" one asked. I looked at the camera and said, "I came here in a gown, but I leave in my power." Back inside, Daniel collapsed on the pew, head in his hands. His mother wept loudly. Sandra slipped out during the chaos, but her shame followed her like smoke. Outside, my father whispered, "Let's go home." That evening, I sat barefoot in my room, gown folded neatly, veil crumpled on a chair. My eyes were alive, though my body was tired. Uncle Emmanuel called. "I withdrew every cent from Daniel's company," he said. "His accounts will freeze soon." I whispered, "Thank you." He added, "I'm proud of you." I ended the call and looked at the invitation pinned on my wall. Slowly, I tore it down and dropped it into the trash. My new chapter had begun. The next morning the house was silent. No decorators, no gospel, no noise. My phone buzzed non-stop with missed calls from Daniel and Sandra. On Instagram my name was trending. Hashtag Grace the Brave, hashtag Room 816, hashtag Altar Bombshell. Videos of my speech had gone viral, already hitting hundreds of thousands of views. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I felt peace. Across town, Daniel sat in a hotel room, eyes red, whispering, "How did everything collapse in one day?" His empire was crumbling. By afternoon, Daniel called again. "Pick this time. Grace, please, can we talk?" he begged. "There's nothing left to say," I replied. He sobbed. "I didn't mean to use you, I was confused." I asked, "Then why did you say it, laugh about me with her?" He stammered, "I was drunk, stressed." Cut him off. "Save it. You betrayed me, mocked me, and plotted control over me and my child. You're not sorry for me. You're sorry the world saw it." At home, family filled the living room. Some looked at me with pity, others with pride. My father stood, his voice steady. My daughter exposed truth many women would bury. She stood, and we stand with her. Everyone clapped softly. My mother wiped tears. An aunt asked, "Grace, what's next for you?" I smiled faintly. "I'll raise my child, I'll heal, and I'll never let another man like Daniel near me." They applauded louder, nodding with respect for my resolve. Sandra's life was no easier. Her father thundered, "You destroyed our family name, sleeping with your cousin's fiancé." She wept. I didn't mean. But he shouted, "Silence! You're banned from family gatherings." Her mother refused to speak to her at all. Meanwhile, Daniel's investors withdrew. His contracts cancelled. His office deserted. His lawyer told him bluntly, "Close operations, your name is poison." He slumped into his chair, ruined. On social media, my inbox overflowed with women thanking me for strength. One woman named Nosi wrote, "My husband cheated for years, but your walk gave me courage. I packed my things and left. Thank you." Another message read, "You saved me. I realized my pain was becoming someone else's freedom." The clinic, my doctor smiled. "Your baby is strong, heartbeat perfect." He nodded. "So am I." In the hallway, a stranger hugged me. "I don't know you," she said, "but I know what you did. I'm proud." My healing deepened. I began writing not just blogs but letters to women. I created The Bride Who Walked, a safe space for betrayed women to share and heal. Within weeks, thousands followed, their stories pouring in. My blog grew into a movement. Meanwhile, Daniel showed up at my gate with flowers, begging. The gateman didn't open. "She said never to let you in," he told him firmly. Daniel left the flowers on the ground and walked away while I whispered, "It's too late." 2 months later, Sandra hid indoors, her name cursed online as homewrecker. Daniel's office shut down, his staff gone. He moved back to his mother's house where she scolded, "I warned you. You thought women are fools." He sank into a chair, muttering, "I didn't mean for this to happen." His mother spat, "But it did." Meanwhile, I folded baby clothes with peace in my chest. My mother rubbed my back each evening. My father cooked pepper soup on weekends. My best friend Ruth visited with baby gifts, smiling. "You're glowing," she teased. I laughed softly. "It's the peace." She asked, "Have you decided on a name yet?" I nodded proudly. "Yes, Amarachi. God's grace." Ruth clapped. "Beautiful." One night labor pains gripped me like fire. My parents rushed me to the hospital. The nurse urged, "Push, you're strong." Hours later, a cry filled the room. "It's a girl," the nurse announced. Tears rolled down my face. Amarachi lay in my arms, purpose reborn. News spread quickly. Grace has given birth. People sent prayers, gifts, and even Pastor wrote, "You didn't stand at the altar, but you walked into something greater. May God bless you." A week later, while nursing Amarachi, my father handed me a newspaper. The headline read, "From Broken Bride to Bold Mother." I laughed softly. "They'll get tired soon." He smiled. "Not when they're watching a queen rise." Amarachi's tiny hand clutched my finger, reminding me why everything was worth it. With support from my godfather, I opened a small office for The Bride Who Walked. White walls, 3 chairs, a banner reading, "You're not weak, you're walking away from chains." Women came daily, quiet, eyes heavy with pain. I listened, cried with them, shared my story. One young girl arrived with a baby, whispering, "I don't know where to go." I held her hand gently. "You're here now, my dear. You've come to the right place." She wept, and healing began. Soon I spoke at women's groups, halls filled with mothers, students, even fathers. I wore a blue patterned gown, Amarachi on my chest. I said, "I'm not here as a celebrity, but as a woman who almost gave her life to the wrong man. I walked because peace is greater than a fake marriage." Women clapped, some crying, some hugging me afterward. One whispered, "I haven't smiled in months, but you gave me hope." Their healing became my healing too. Daniel, meanwhile, lived in shadows. No office, no investors, no respect. In a dingy room, he scrolled through news headlines of my speeches and organizations. "Isn't that the guy from room 816? People whispered when they saw him. His beard grew rough, his shoes worn. He knocked once more at my gate, empty-handed this time. I let him in only to say one thing. He whispered, "I'm sorry." He nodded. "I forgave you long ago, not for you but for me." That was the last time I saw him. Months later, my blog turned into a foundation, helping women escape betrayal, abuse, and shame. Letters poured in daily, women sharing courage they found in my story. One girl wrote, "Your video saved me from ending my life." I pressed my phone to my chest, whispering thanks. Amarachi grew stronger, smiling often. My home was filled with laughter again. Each day I chose myself, and by doing so I chose my child. At a university conference, I stood before hundreds. "My name is Grace. I was supposed to be a wife, but I chose to be myself." The hall thundered with claps. "Walking away doesn't make you weak," I said. "It means you understand your worth. Never be afraid to leave where respect does not live." Students cheered, mothers cried, fathers nodded. Amarachi slept peacefully against my chest, the symbol of my freedom. That night I finally understood. My pain had a purpose. Daniel watched the video from a plastic chair in his one-room apartment. His eyes were hollow, his empire gone. His name a cautionary tale. He paused the screen on my face, whispering, "I lost the kind of woman people write books about. But no amount of regret could bring me back." His phone buzzed with debts and threats. He placed his head in his hands, the sound of his own downfall echoing in the silence he created. His story was finished. That night I kissed Amarachi's forehead and whispered, "You saved me, my child. Now I'll spend my life saving others." I lay down, tears of relief in my eyes, no longer from pain but from freedom. Outside, the moonlight touched the house softly, and peace settled around us. I had walked away from betrayal and into my destiny. My gown never reached the altar, but my spirit reached something higher. Not every bride wears her crown at the altar.